Do you ever wonder if the Cycles viewport was quicker? Like, what if you could have the speed of Eevee, but the rendering fidelity of Cycles in the viewport? Well, guess what? All this Eevee footage I've been showing here was actually Cycles, but with DLSS enabled. That's right, the same technology used to make games run smoother is now implemented into the Cycles viewport, and it genuinely works really well for being such an alpha build. Now, before I show you how I even got this to work and show some tests, I was wondering how DLSS actually even works. Like, does it just see what the frames are and generates fake frames in between? Or does it reconstruct the scene and match the motion with machine learning, or what? Basically, instead of like blurring away all the noise like some old school denoiser, DLSS Ray Reconstruction uses this highly trained AI model to fill in the details from messy low-res image. It's like having an artist paint in the blanks after like 1,000 hours of practice. In this custom Blender branch, it hooks right into the Cycles denoiser and adds the DLSS option. Now, with all that technical jargon out of the way, how did I actually get this to work? Well, it's pretty complicated and even I barely understand how it works. So basically, you have to download this uncompiled source specifically from Blender, grab the official NVIDIA DLSS developer files, and then mash them together using the C++ compiler. But lucky for you, I've done all the heavy lifting and made the simple bat script that you can run and make your own Blender for free. Well, technically you still gotta download some dependencies for yourself and then drag the file into a thing and then you'll be done, but same thing. First, go ahead and install the CUDA library, OptiX SDK, Git for Windows, the Visual Studio 22 runtime. Make sure to enable the build with C++ option in the installation screens. And make sure your NVIDIA drivers are up to date. Luckily, the bat script will tell you if any of these dependencies are missing. Once you have all the dependencies installed, grab the bat file that I made on my GitHub page and place it in an empty folder path with no spaces. For some reason, the build tools don't like spaces in the file path and I was too lazy to find a workaround. Also, keep in mind that it'll take about 30 gigs of free space to download basically everything. But once you're done with all the compiling, you can delete everything and it'll be like a normal Blender installation. Once that's all done, open the x64 native tools command prompt window. Then drag the bat file into the window or type out the file path. If you installed all the dependencies correctly, the pre-built checkups should all be okay. If you do get an error, it most likely means the dependency didn't install correctly, your NVIDIA drivers are not up to date, or just try restarting. And this should fix about 90% of all the problems. And once all those checks are cleared, just walk away and like watch a movie or summon. Because this process can take anywhere from 30 minutes to a few hours. Just for comparison, my PC has an i9 and it still took about half an hour to build everything. So once your build hopefully compiles with no errors, you'll see that the release folder will be filled with a bunch of stuff. Then go in there and open your very own self-contained DLSS build in Blender. And everything else outside this folder can be deleted. Once you open the blender.exe file, everything will look the exact same. But if you go into the render options, making sure OptiX is selected in the system preferences and your RTX card is checked. Once you go to Cycles and check the denoise dropdown, if everything went right, you'll hopefully see a DLSS option. And once you enable it, it's basically magic. You should be able to pan around and orbit most scenes in pretty much real time. Let's take a few scenes here and let me show you the difference between all the options. I'll show no denoiser, OptiX, and DLSS. Here's a hard surface type product model with cinematic lighting. This one is easy enough that all three methods work really well. This next scene though really shows the power of DLSS. It's a Minecraft scene I used in one of my previous videos and you can really see a difference here. The other two methods aren't bad, but it's just annoying to see the scene without the proper lighting. DLSS just destroys the other options in terms of performance. And honestly, it even rivals Eevee. Finally, here's a scene with an indoor dining table and some stuff on it, and it's not even a competition. DLSS breezes through this while OptiX is struggling to keep up. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows though. It's not perfect. There are really three main issues I could see with DLSS. The first issue is ghosting. When quickly panning throughout your scene, you'll often see after images of your models. Same if you change the color or material of your object. It takes a second to fade into the new color. The second is foliage. Foliage looks really muddy with DLSS, but that's just an issue with how the system works, and you can't really get around it. And finally, what I think might be a deal breaker is animation. Moving objects is really the worst enemy of this system. The problem is, updating literally anything except for the view is really slow, same as I explained in the ghosting problem. So updating an object's position every frame kinda kills the system. especially if you have multiple small objects moving. But even with these issues, I do believe that DLSS still has its place in real-time cycles viewing. Now, while DLSS is great for viewing the models in real time, it comes nowhere near close to OptiX or OpenImageDenoise when given time to denoise the scene properly. So it's great for viewport denoising, but I'd much rather have one of the other denoisers for rendering. Now, I believe everyone should try this, and you should still keep on praying that one day a Blender release will come officially packed with DLSS. Sadly, it probably won't happen since Blender is strictly under the open source GPL license. That means anyone can use or modify this code, but you can't legally distribute it because it's permanently tied to closed source proprietary code. Since NVIDIA's DLSS technology is strictly patented and closed source, packaging them into a ready-to-download exe file breaks both Blender and NVIDIA's licensing rules. Even though the DLSS SDK is completely free to download, it isn't open source. So that's why you gotta act like the middleman and compile the two halves together on your own machine. And hopefully I've made it as easy as possible for anyone to do that. Alright, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would really like it if you'd subscribe and like the video because that lets me know that you guys really like this kind of content. And hopefully this isn't actually illegal to show you how to do this, but I've seen some other people do it, so hopefully I'll be fine. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day and see you later.